Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome back to Palworld Raids. Today we're going to be talking about the Tamer build. This build, and these are the game settings, we're going to be using 15 base pals against both raids available right now. So, Tamer build, what it is about. I've read a lot of people saying, hey, when I play Palworld, I don't really want to be relying on, you know, dealing player damage or shooting guns or whatnot. So this is a way for you to leverage all your pals as efficiently as possible, regardless of what they are and regardless of what the raid is. As a pure pal tamer, not going to be dealing any damage. All you're going to be doing is supporting the base and the base pals and distracting the boss. So first things first, we're going to be using Lylene as our main pal, and we're using 3 defense pendants, as you can see here. I don't care about attack, so I'm just going to crank up my defense. And with a food buff, I have 2,711 defense. And I'm using a multi-climate shirt there, but you can use a ring of resistance too. So this is the Lylene. The skills don't matter, honestly. I would say just go for Legend and Burly Body and Serenity if possible. Everything else doesn't matter. Put Bountiful Protection on her so she can heal herself after she takes some damage, and then you're going to use her for the self-healing skill. So your job in this is basically going to be to spam pals and babysit the pal box with repair kits. So you don't have to do anything. You just have to put all your strongest pals in the first couple of pages. I just put a variety of some stuff that can work here against Blazamut Ryu. This is not going to be an optimal setup to counter him or anything like that. It's just going to be a mass of pals with 15 base slots against him. And I'm going to be using shock grenades, as you can see here, to throw them at the boss as the fight goes on and my pals do the work. Shock grenades for Ryu and ice grenades for Bellanoir Libero. So I'm just going to be drinking some food buffs here before the raid and then putting in 15 pals. So we're going to be doing some Palladiuses, which aren't really too great against Blazamut Ryu. Bellanoir is okay, but she's going to get nuked pretty hard. She's going to take a lot of damage. Especially, remember, there's no player damage here, so the boss is going to take longer to kill. So we're going to summon the boss here. And the first thing I'm going to do is go back to the pal box. You don't have to worry about the boss. Your pals are going to be worrying about the boss. So what's good about the strategy? Number one, your pal box is never going to be destroyed, and you're going to be very tanky. So if you can waste the boss's time by luring it to the pal box and having it attack you, that's good, because you have repair kits. So any damage that the pal box takes, you're just going to repair immediately. So here we see some damage is going to be thrown in the middle of the base here. I'm just going to go to the pal box and repair it. I did take some damage, but again, my defense is so high. My defense is so high, and I do have the Lylene partner skill that as soon as I start taking a lot of damage, I'm just going to heal it back. So I'm basically wasting the enemy's actions, essentially, whenever it targets me. And because I loaded up the pal box with a bunch of stuff, whatever you use, as soon as one pal dies, I'm just going to replace it immediately. So the effective DPS, even though I'm not dealing any player damage here, might be decent. Obviously not the same as like throwing some missiles at it, obviously. But still a more relaxed playstyle. So I'm just repairing the pal box here. I'm on fire, but I don't really care because I have multi-climate shutter on. And I'm just tossing grenades. So as soon as a pal dies, I replace it. See? A Palladius died, I replace it immediately. And I'm just hanging around the pal box and letting things play out. The Palladiuses don't really, they just have a bunch of neutral skills. They don't really have, I think some of them have splash. But this is really not a really hard counter to Blazamut Ryu. See, repair immediately, just repairing the pal box. So a Palladius died, I'm replacing it. A Bellanoir died, I'm replacing it. And I'm keeping the raid's damage top notch. As soon as a pal dies, I swap it out. And this can go off for whatever pals you have, however many pages of pals you have. All I care about is repairing the pal box, wasting the boss's time if it happens to target me, and I'm just hanging out around the pal box so I can replace. Now, keep an eye out on your Lylene. Just keep her out so her cooldown refreshes on her heal skill. I just keep her around. If I see her taking too much damage, I'll just bring her back. So there's a point in the video here where I do take a bunch of damage to my green health bar where her shield's down. I just put Lylene out, and I heal myself. And I just basically stall for time. So here, big hits coming my way. I mean, it is Blazamut Ryu, it does hit pretty hard, but again, my defense is so high that it doesn't really matter. My job is right now to babysit the pal box and make sure that I replace dead pals. So again, you're not gonna need, like, regardless of what boss you're facing, as long as you load up the first pages with your strongest pals, sure, you might not get like a very fast kill time, but as long as your pals are, condensed even if they don't hard counter the boss, it's a matter of like wasting the boss's time. So you will make some progress on these bosses. Like again, this is not nothing too spectacular here. Yeah, these are very strong pals. Like I do have strong pals, but the kill time's pretty good. So this could be 4-star whatever, as long as they're condensed and they can last for a bit. You're not gonna have to replace that much. Then it's okay. Obviously, the weaker your pals, the more you're gonna have to replace. But the point is that it's just a very chill playstyle. And just buy the pal box. I'm just hanging out. I dodge when I can, obviously, like when the boss tries to target me with a big hit. But look, my shield's back. I'm back to full health. Boss hasn't been able to chunk me. Boss has not been able to chunk the pal box. Pal box is still at full HP. So another way to think about this strategy is, how do you lose a raid? There's two ways to lose a raid. You run out of time, or the pal box gets destroyed. Correct? If you die, the raid isn't really over because you can respawn. So as long as you have just enough damage through 15 pals or whatever base slots you use, you're gonna beat these, regardless of pals. Like these pals don't really counter Blazamut Ryu. And for the next video, we're gonna be doing Bellanoir with pals that don't really counter her either. I just threw a bunch of Palladiuses at her. Now, obviously, Bellanoir is much easier at this point, so it's it's 50 versus 55, so it's not the best comparison. But I think this is a strategy that as long as you breed strong pals of whatever pal you like, it's gonna work. So that's the advantage here, where you're not too focused on whatever the counter is, since you're replacing pals as they die. So this could also work very well if you have very high DPS pals that don't have much defense, and you just spam breed a lot of them. Why? Because the pal dying is not that big of a deal. You're gonna be able to replace it immediately. So for example, let's say that a raid boss comes out and it deals a lot of damage, and I just spec into, a good example would be Celine. Celine deals a lot of damage, kind of squishy, its defense is not that great. Or something else that you really like even Bellanoir itself. Bellanoir is not really tanky. So let's say I want to invest in only one pal, and I really like that pal, and I just want to spam that forever. And it's got a really good high damage skill, it's not the tankiest thing. I just spam breed it, and then just load up a couple pages of it, and just focus on one pal. Literally sit at the pal box, use Lilene to heal, and I'm just replacing pals. The whole fight, that's all I'm doing. So here, obviously I'm no longer throwing shot grenades, because Blazamut Ryu is immune to electrocutes. It's resistant to lightning also in phase 2. But again, look, my pal box is full. There's no danger of me dying, really. Even though I did take a lot of hits, and look, my lightning got beat up pretty hard. But yeah, again, I'm just replacing stuff as it goes. If you were to breed, for example, only Bellanoir, you could literally just spam 50. I know people who have like 50 Bellanoirs, 60 Bellanoirs, like perfect Bellanoirs. You can literally just spam. You don't have to fire a single shot. So phase 2 is almost over here. And I'm playing like replace a pal. That's all I'm doing. You could theoretically toss whatever you want here. So phase 2 is almost done, and we're gonna be switching to a Bellanoir fight here using the same principle. Yeah, he's almost dead. So that was pretty smooth. You could spec into Palladius, you could spec into Let's say you really like a Necromus, I could just spam breed hundreds of perfect Necromuses, load them up with ranged skills, and this would still work. Pretty sure they would still have the damage to do this. Most pals that people enjoy using do have the damage, so it's a numbers game. And this way, with this strategy, also the cool thing is, you don't have to really worry about your guns, which is a big thing too. That's another thing about this strategy that I really like. So for example, the recent patch came out, and a bunch of people didn't really like the low drop rates for the new rocket launcher. And I know some people that even don't even like using they don't even like using guns. So you just load up on defense, toss out your Lilene, and here I'm demonstrating we're going to be using ice grenades against Bellanoir. And I'm using Palladiuses. So why Palladius? Palladius is a neutral pal. It's weak to dark damage. Obviously, these are very tanky, and they're level 55. So I don't think Bellanoir is going to be able to kill them very efficiently. But it still proves the point where I'm literally just going to be babysitting the pal box. Some of them are going to die. Some of them are going to survive. I think I have inconsistent food buffs here, like some are running out. Some of them have work food buffs. And then I have a bunch of old school jet dragons with old school skills from the previous patch, like Dragon Burst and Dragon Draconic Breath and all that stuff. So we're seeing a mix of new and old school skills here. Old school skills here. So we're summoning Bellanoir. I'm getting my Lilene out. just so she wastes another target. And I'm just tossing ice grenades and keeping an eye on the pal box, obviously, because if something dies, I just want to replace it immediately. But this is going to play out the same. Obviously, this fight's much easier than Blazamut Ryu Ultra, and a bunch of them survive fairly well. But I'm just playing support role here. I'm not dealing any damage. Like, grenades barely deal any damage. They're not very big on damage. So I'm just stone locking the boss here with applying freeze or electrify, depending on what the boss is. And again, I'm not worried about my guns. I'm not worried about ammo necessarily. I mean, yeah, you have to make some grenades if you want to do that, but you don't have to. It just helps. Helps the pals live longer. But like I said about the discussion on the drop rates, let's say that I wanted to play this game and I really want to shoot. And I just want to breed. I just want to focus on base building and breeding. This is a perfectly fine way to play raids and get the rewards. I don't really have to worry about elemental mounts. I am using Gobfins though because they do increase my defense, so that does help. But there is no real player damage here. So let's say that something has a really low drop rate. I don't really want to feel like farming a specific weapon to farm a raid boss. Like, let's say the next raid boss comes out and there's like, it's got a lot of life and defense, which it's guaranteed to have. And I just want to focus on breeding and do other shit. I don't want to farm schematics. Then I can just breed, AFK, do my other shit in the gameplay, do my other stuff in the game world, not worry about farming schematics. And I'm just going to build a very tanky player character, load up on defense pendants or resistance rings, which you can do on the force accessory slot. Get out my Lylene, waste the boss's time, and just throw pals at it. So yeah, I mean, if it works for Blazamut Ryu, in theory, it's going to work on any future raid boss. It's just a matter of scaling your pals up to match, and that's it. Don't really have to worry about shooting. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory here for Bellanoir. It's going to play out the same way. I'm just babysitting the pal box, just hanging out. I think while I was playing this, I just had I was watching TV because I'm not worried about aiming. Like I said, I'm just sitting here, so it's great. I'm just worried about pals dying, just monitoring the pal box. But yeah, pretty self-explanatory. I hope you guys enjoyed this guide on the Pal Tamer build for raids. And again, I know a lot of people that are into this kind of game, they don't really feel like, they don't want to play that, they don't want to feel like it's a shooting game. They don't like that aspect. So this is a way for people who are that kind of player to participate in raids. And all you're going to be doing is babysitting the pal box and replacing stuff as it dies. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a good weekend. Please leave me feedback in a comment if you can. I will talk to you guys soon. Have a good weekend, like I said, and good rest of your week. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.